My friends, we just pressed the Let's Go Live button. And so you know what that means. We got to wait for those streams to connect themselves all across the fruited plain of the interwebs on this amazing and incredible Friday. We made it through another week. And this was a very special week because we celebrated America's birthday and Mama G's birthday. It was very, very incredible yesterday, celebrating two, as per usual. I hope your Independence Day was also amazing, my friends. Hopefully what you had was delicious on the menu. We had ribs and beans, and we had a bunch of other things. I mean, there was also potato salad and other salad and green beans and all sorts of other stuff. But I mostly skipped all of that other thing, all those other items. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can tell you, just had ribs and beans. Oh, and meatballs, because there were a lot of meatballs. Yeah, I can confirm, did not have not even one sliver of salad. God bless America. What a great country. And I feel great. So it's working. It's connected. It's an amazing Friday, my friends. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we are talking about Democrats threatening Joe Biden. Man, and they're coming out hot today. We got a wild one. Actually, a couple of wild stories. It is like Joe Biden is now dead to them, which is interesting because he's basically been dead to the rest of us for a long time. And we're going to go through a bunch of stuff. So first of all, there's a Disney heiress. Apparently she's got a bunch of money. So if you already had a problem with Disney, well, you can have maybe adjust your opinions on this. We'll see. But she was donating tons of money to Democrats. And now she's saying not going to be doing that anymore. And she's being joined by a bunch of other people, other big Democrats, saying, enough, Joe, you got to get out of here or else you're not getting our money. And it's not just about Joe getting the money. It's about other Democrats and other candidates getting the money. We don't want, if you're a Democrat, you're thinking, we don't want Joe to sink the rest of the ship. We don't want him to drag the Senate down. We don't want him to drag the House of Representatives down, the different governor races and all the things. So they're saying, you got to go or else we're not going to just give you any money. No one's getting money at all. And so that's going to put a ton of pressure on him from his own people. And Joe's, you know, an institutionalist as much as anybody. He's been in the Senate forever. And so if he has a bunch of people from the Senate coming out and screaming at him and saying, Joe, you're going to kill us all, right? Maybe that's enough pressure for him to move on. Maybe it's persuasive to him in a way that general politics are not, because it's coming from his Senate friends. But anyways, so a lot of pressure on him saying we're going to cut the money off. And if the spigots are off, that might make the decision a lot easier. Now, what's happening is Ron Klain, who is the former chief of staff, who is still a major defender of Joe, was the guy who prepped him for his disastrous debate, is saying this is ridiculous. They can't insurrect our party. This is nuts. And I totally agree. We're big fans of Joe Biden here for the Democrats nominee. Not to govern America. He's terrible at that. But to be their nominee. First of all, a lot of people have voted for him. Okay, he's already been president for 4 years. He just had one bad night. I don't even know what the big deal is. And we expected it. It was status quo here. We watched it. We said, okay, well, that's about what we expected. And then the rest of the media was like, whoa, we've never seen this before. And you go, whoa, you guys are pretty obviously obtuse if you've never seen that. But anyways, Ron Klain is like, what's the problem? Relax, okay? This is the Democratic Party. Don't insurrect our vote away from us. And he's not happy about it at all. But you can see why some of the donors are concerned, because Joe Biden is even joking about this, saying that don't worry about it. It's only my brain. That's the real problem here. You're like, wait a minute. It's not like your knee or something. Like you have a sprained ankle. It's your brain. Like the whole thing? Or like a particular lobe? What's going on? So he was apparently joking. Now we'll go through this. It's kind of hysterical, the article. It's from the New York Times. But they're also not taking it as a joke. They're reporting on it like it might be a joke. And they're trying to report on other people who may have laughed about the joke but it's not really a joke because your brain, it is his brain. We know, I know, it's not funny. So, all right, so Joe is talking about that. Then I got some clips from him from yesterday. He was out, it was July 4th. He's talking about traffic congestion that is now gone, evidently. And nobody really knows what he's saying or what he's talking about. There's Lloyd Austin back there like, oh, gosh, we're all doomed. So we got him. He was also out giving another speech. And you can see here, Joe Biden on the 4th of July was out. Kamala was introducing him, and she almost flubbed this, essentially. She says, welcome to President Joe. You know, and you go, wait, what did you say, Vice President? So is the switcheroo already happening? We don't know. They were doing the old hand-holding thing out there. Joe Biden grabbed her hand. He's like, let's hold hands for some reason. And Kamala might be our new president, which would just be wild. Joe Biden also had a weird flub. He said something like he was the first black woman or something. I don't know. Now, I think what happened was, as usual, his brain disassembled and then reassembled a bunch of thoughts in the wrong order. But we'll listen to that and see what he said. And then there was this excerpt of Ashley Biden dancing, and it was a little bit strange what was going on over there. So she's dancing out there. Hunter was there. You can see him in the background. And so everybody's bracing for impact. Are we going to see another dime bag show up in the lockers somewhere out near the White House? Only time will tell. So we'll talk about all that in the first segment. Then in our second segment, we've got this story, man. This was brutal. It was a big, long story over from New York Magazine. And we'll not read through the whole thing, but we will take a look at the second half where this person says they've got this insider account. They're there. They're talking to everybody who was at, well, a bunch of different locations. But they say Joe is just gone. Okay, he doesn't remember family members' names. He doesn't remember anything. The entire presidency has been basically outsourced to a close-knit group of bureaucrats, and it's like a pseudo-cabinet presidency kind of a thing, which is very strange because that's not in the Constitution. We're not supposed to have like a big Congress and then like a small Congress that runs the executive branch and like a small, it's not supposed to work that way. We're supposed to have an actual president who is the executive. And so anyways, this whole administration is completely unconstitutional, but also that's because Joe's demented. So the article's brutal. It's one of the worst I think we've seen thus far, saying he doesn't know the names of his family members. And this person who writes it is shocked. And we said, hey, so if you've known about this for months, like this isn't new, you just decided to publish this because the debate has given you cover now. But you should have reported it like an actual journalist would have. But no, now they've got cover, so now they can all speak openly and plainly. So it's ridiculous. Newsom's out there. You know, it feels right now that we start watching Newsom playing around and Kamala's slotting into the number one position. I think it's a Heiress Newsom ticket, obviously, right? So Heiress slots in there because she keeps all the campaign money, all of the Biden campaign juice going, and then they bring in this white male to then calm that demographic of the Democrats, because we know that they treat people like trading cards. So that's what they do. So that's probably what's going to be happening. So we'll see what Newsom says. And then Trump came out with a very interesting truth. Trump is a man of solutions. And what he's watching right now is what we're all seeing, which is the Democrats be very anti-democratic and be very insurrectionary, trying to throw Joe Biden off from his duly elected nominated position because he had one bad night. That's it. Give me a break. Have some compassion, Democrats. Stand behind your candidate. Have some loyalty, will you? I don't know what the big deal is. He's young, and age doesn't matter, okay? It's about his experience anyways, so you should support him. But anyway, so Trump is out here saying, hey, I'm happy to solve this thing. He says, I have the answer to crooked Joe Biden's incompetence puzzle. Man, he's so smart. He says, let's just do another debate. How about that? Because it was just one bad night. So Trump, a man of tremendous graciousness, is now offering to help Joe get back on his feet. What a nice guy. He had one bad night. Oh, come on, try again. Come up here. Come on, try again. He's a real gentleman, I'll tell you what. So we'll read through the rest of that statement, and we'll see what some other people say about this. Joe Scarborough says, Democrats better get this right. And this is funny because Joe Scarborough's having a rough time. Remember, I think it was last week that Joe Scarborough was saying that Joe Biden was vigorous. He was the best Joe Biden we've ever seen. In fact, if you don't know him, you're an idiot because he's smarter than you. Rob, basically talking to us. And we go, okay, well, it's interesting, Joe. And then he got into it with Mika after the debate. Mika's like, everyone's freaking out. He's like, what did you call me? I'm not freaking out. B? And she's like, what'd you say to me? Whoa, like someone was sleeping on the couch for sure. So Joe Scarborough went on a vacation or something like right after that for a week, totally all planned. He's out on a week. I don't know where he was, probably roaming around the streets, maybe with Hunter Biden looking for whatever they were up to. But they worked through it. Joe Scarborough's back in the bedroom. He came back on TV and he says what he's going to say here that we'll listen to in a little bit. Stelter, remember him? Mr. Potato Head was out again. He's still doing his CNN stuff, trying to hang out with them still. They threw him out of the company and he just keeps coming back. He just keeps showing up. They're like, oh, Brian's back. Oh, gosh. So he came back. We'll listen to him. And then we'll round out that segment with Vivek, who has a great question, something that we're asking here. Every time one of these epiphanies occur to the left, to the Democrats, to all these people, Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper, what? Wait, he can't talk. He's demented. Wow, we're shocked. It's an epiphany. Wow, welcome to the party. Now you get it. Okay, are they going to recognize that they were lied to? And if they are going through this awakening, which we're glad that they are, what else are they going to admit they were lied to about? What other stories? Maybe January 6th, maybe Russia collusion, maybe MAGA, domestic homegrown violent extremists, maybe Russian disinfo, all the things. So we'll see if they wake up at all. Answer is probably not. They don't care. They'll vote for a dead corpse over Trump because that's how brainwashed they are. We talked about that yesterday. And there's a lot more of that. It's wild. I've been seeing a lot of that on X, just as a little side note. A lot of people coming out and saying, yeah, Joe Biden basically has dementia and he's terrible, but I'd still vote for him even if he was dead. Like they say that openly. I'd still vote for him if he was in a coma, I saw some guy say. I go, what? So you're not actually voting for Joe at all then, are you? You're voting for something that's not even a president. So that's interesting. It just says a lot about these people, how they operate. Strange. Rather than trying to get someone else in there or recognizing that they've been lied to by the very guy that they're willing to support to the death. It's like, you guys are nuts. Talk about it's like a battered spouse syndrome, you know? They're just battered to death and they'll still support this person. It's like, man, have some self-respect. They lied to your face. They don't care. All right, anyway, so enough of that. So, my friends, we got a great show queued up. As you can see, we got 3 good segments. We have an amazing members-only community. We do members-only content. And we're going early today because we kind of have a holiday weekend. But ordinarily, this is when we do our members-only streams in the morning. So if this is something that works for you, we stream a bunch here for membos on YouTube, on locals. We'd love to have you join us. And we have a ton of fun. And it's a great way to meet other people kind of in a smaller forum. We had a ton of membos at the meetup and everyone was, hey, membos, you know, it was great. So it was a lot of fun. We were really grateful to our membos for supporting us, helping to make all of the work here possible. So thanks for becoming a membo either on YouTube or on locals. We very much appreciate it. If you're looking for show reports or PDFs, those are online at robertgovea.com, and Watcher Lodge is where we got some other fun stuff cooking as we speak. But now, my friends, let's get into it, because we've got some business to attend to on this amazing Friday, and I'm very glad we're getting to spend some time here together on this long, beautiful weekend. Let's get to it. Democrats now threatening Joe Biden. You better get out of the race or else there, buddy boy. We're not happy with your brain. It's not working for us. It's not working for Joe either. In fact, he says that. He says, well, it's just my brain is the problem. Some people say he was joking. Others not so sure about it, because the New York Times is reporting he's in bed by 8 o'clock so he can get some more sleep. as though nothing happens in the world after 8 o'clock Eastern time in the United States. Okay. So Democrats are now saying, look, enough of this. You've got to get out of here. Disney, Heiress, other donors are saying it's time to go. We're going to cut off the spigot. The floodgates are going to be closed. No more money. And this might impact Senate races, House races, governor races, local races. And so Democrat pressure on Joe will continue to mount. If he's not going to get out, if he's going to dig his heels in with Hunter, then maybe the money will be the thing that does it. Now, Ron Klain's not happy about it. No one is really happy about it on the Democratic side. We think Joe Biden's outstanding for the Democrats. He really is representative of their party. He's a perfect embodiment of who they are as a political class in America. And so I personally can't think of anybody better for the Democrats than Joe, because it's representative. So we'll hear from him. They're all flipped out about it, but even CNN is ripping in to this governor saying, wait, his brain is gone, dude. Can you just admit that, please, for all of us? And he's like, well, I don't know. We do like him a lot, though. So here is what's happening with Disney and others. You can see here this, a wealthy Democratic donors say, we're not going to finance the entire party, Joe. So you're gone, right? So Joe, get out, or the Senate's done. The House is done. You're all done until you do what we say. And Joe Biden, as we know, Jill Biden gives him accolades after he finished all the questions at the debate. You ate all your food, Joe. Wow, great job. You ate your whole plate. You answered every question. So they're just going to say, Joe, you're grounded. You're grounded from all your fun activities until you stop running for president. Oh, wow. But I like ice cream. And so they'll have a difficult time with him. Her name is Abigail Disney, who sounds like she accomplished nothing other than inheriting money from her daddy. Typical. Plans to withhold donations to Democrats until Joe Biden drops out. Abigail Disney. Sounds like an amazing person. Biden has said he has no plans to withdraw from the race. Okay. Gideon Stein, someone else, said he's decided to pause planned donations of $3.5 million to Biden. Oh, no. So Joe Biden facing an uprising from some of the wealthiest donors, including Disney. Abigail, granddaughter of Roy O. Disney. Oh, granddaughter. That's how much money they got. Who co-founded Walt Disney of Roy, says she's going to withhold donations. The president has said that he has no plans to withdraw. She wrote, I intend to stop any contributions to the party unless and until they replace Biden at the top of the ticket. Brutal. Brutal. He was duly elected and nominated. Who does she think she is? She's in charge of all the Democrats? She speaks for all the Democrats, like she just gets to decide. I guess she runs that party. She says this is realism, okay, not disrespect. Biden's a good man, has served his country admirably, but the stakes are too high, said Abigail Disney. This is ridiculous. It's really condescending to Joe. If Biden does not step down, the Democrats will lose. Of that, I'm absolutely certain. Well, I don't think so. I mean, Joe Biden is the current president. He's the incumbent president. I think we should give him a shot. The consequences for the loss will be genuinely dire. Give me a break. All right, so you can see they're in a large party panic. They are saying he struggled to perform. Biden's 6 points down among likely voters. Abigail's been a longtime supporter of Democrats. Disney gave $150,000 to Planned Parenthood, $400,000 supporting Dems. Disney pointed to Kamala Harris, right? She loves Kamala, says, well, she could beat Trump. We have an excellent vice president, she says. If Democrats would tolerate any of her perceived shortcomings, even 1/10 as much as they've tolerated Biden's, and says, let's not kid ourselves about where race and gender figure in that inequity. Oh, this woman sounds just like the worst. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine spending like 5 minutes at a just standing up, not even seated down, but like five minutes up at like one of those standing cocktail tables with Abigail Disney, just 5-minute conversation. You'd want to just jump right out the window. And if Democrats can find a way to stop quibbling and rallying around her, we can win this election by a lot. Did she ever listen to Kamala speak at all? And she's not the only one pausing gifts until Joe steps down. This is an insurrection in the Democratic Party. They are threatening Joe Biden and holding him hostage to this money. It's basically blackmail, isn't it? Get out or else there's no money. We're going to pay you to get the hell out of here. Democrats are like, well, it's how our party works, so I guess we'll just eat it. They lie to us too. This is worse. This is not as bad as them lying to us. So Joe Biden has been very effective, but he's got to go. This one, Carla Jurvetson, also trying to insurrect the voice of the people who voted for Joe. Wild. Oh, these rich people. They're always screaming about the rich people, but look at this. Jurvetson is among the top 50 donors this cycle. Donated more than $5 million. What about the average Joe who just wants a better life? What about him or her? Or they or them? Jurvetson gave more than $30 million to Democrats in 2020, according to the data. And so now they're just going to take their millions and go home. It's our money now. We don't want to play with you anymore. So, all right. So you can see they're having a tough time over there. Joe Biden's having a difficult time. Now, Ron Klain, I totally agree with him on this one. Completely. He says, we are the Democratic Party. He says these people don't get to decide to oust a pro-labor and pro-people president. And people voted for him, man. We stand by Joe here for the Democrats, not for America, but certainly for the Democrats. Major Democratic donors devise plans to pressure Biden to step aside. What on earth? Says he appears intent on remaining on the ballot, but the wealthy donors are discussing plans to put their money elsewhere. I mean, unless they want to give it over to Trump, I'm fine with that. But otherwise, I don't know where they're going to put their money. Kamala? Somewhere else? This is ridiculous. This is an insurrection of the Democrats. They're trying to usurp the vote of their own constituency. It's reprehensible. They should be ashamed of themselves for trying to interfere with an election. This is election interference. So, but you can understand why they're a little concerned, because you don't want to spend $20 million like Bloomberg did and then have Joe Biden flush it down the toilet on the debate stage. Oops. So here the New York Times says that the reason the donors are a little bit concerned is because Biden is kind of admitting that his brain is a problem, which is not ideal when you're running the country. So the story says that Biden tells the governors that he needs more sleep and less work at night. Because, you know, you want to get to bed early, decent. The president's opening remarks was intended to chill any concern about his withdrawal, but this is not the real good way to do it. He says, listen, everybody, look, sorry about the debate, okay? The debate started at 9 p.m. Eastern time. He says, that's the problem. I should have been in bed, which we thought he was preparing for that for the 7 days or whatever in the days leading up to the debate. We thought that they were adjusting his sleep schedule. And I'm not even joking about that. Like, if you have to get up and run a race, like let's say you're a competitive athlete, you get up and run, right? You get up and run to train your body to get up and go, or whatever it is. Right? You train yourself for the condition. So if Joe Biden needs to be up and performing at 9 p.m., he should be up and practicing at 9 p.m. every night until that's clockwork. So this is wild, but anyway, okay. So he tells everybody, I can't do anything after 8 p.m. You know how I get. I just get so cranky, I got to get to bed. One scoop of ice cream and that's it. I'm done. The remarks on Wednesday were a stark acknowledgement of fatigue from the 81-year-old president during a meeting intended to reassure more than 24 of his most important supporters that he's not demented. He described his foreign travels. Now, initially, he blamed a cold, and then that didn't work out because everybody was saying, well, if you had a cold, why were you going and shaking hands with everybody at a Waffle House? And did you see a doctor? Karine said, no, we checked. He did not see a doctor. Then it turns out he did see a doctor. So Karine lied to us. Then they put out word midway through a debate that he had a sore throat. That's why his voice was struggling, whatever. Now, Biden said, I need to get more sleep. That's according to multiple people. He said, I was pushing too hard. That's the thing. He's working too hard for the American people. He needed to work fewer hours. And I got to avoid events after 8 p.m. Now, after Josh Green of Hawaii, a physician, asked Biden about his health. So Josh Green, he's a governor. He's from Hawaii. Mr. President, Josh Green here from Hawaii. Hello, sir. He's like, huh? Hawaii? What's that? Oh, gosh. It's a state, a series of islands. I have a question for you. He says, okay, go ahead. Mr. Biden, he says, sir, I just wanted to inquire about the status of your health, sir, Mr. President. Mr. Biden said, my health? Oh, my health is fine. It's just my brain. And the governor goes, huh? Well, I'm not a neurologist, but he said this is according to 3 people familiar with what took place. It's no. My heart's good. My heart's good. Lungs are good. Kidneys good. Liver's good. No problems. No ulcers. Colonoscopy was great. I'm great. It's just my brain. Oh, okay. Well, if that's all, then I guess go back to work. Here's the nuclear football. Here you go. Now, a remark that some in the room took as a joke. Okay, so some people were awkwardly laughing, including Governor Kathy Hochul. She's like, yeah, laugh. Hey, laugh. According to a person close to her, but at least one governor didn't think it was funny and was kind of puzzled by it. It's just your brain. That's what we thought. Jen O'Malley Dillon, Mr. Biden's campaign chair, who attended the meeting, said in a statement after the fact, they had to actually clean this up, said, no, it was a joke, okay? Because he said, all kidding aside. He said that later. He said, all kidding aside, which he says that all the time. Even if he's not kidding, he just says that. A recollection confirmed by another person briefed on the meeting, Miss O'Malley said, he was clearly making a joke. Not clearly, okay? Not really. Half the room's like, oh, gosh. Yeah, that's what we thought. It was your brain. Kevin, all right, tell us what's going on in there. Is it a tumor? Kevin Munoz said of the president's comments about more sleep, he says, President Bush went to bed at 9 too. And President Obama made dinner at 6:30. So just that's normal. Normal presidents strike a balance. And so does Joe Biden. Okay, so if he wants to go to bed at 8 o'clock, that's fine. Hardly the same rigor as Donald Trump, who spends half his day ranting on True Social about plans that would cause a recession and the other half golfing. And then beating the crap out of your candidate on the debate stage in his free time while also mocking his golf game. Now, Mr. Biden took 2 foreign trips and then took 7 days to spend a full week in debate prep. And so the governors came out. They're like, no. He was just joking about his brain. Totally just a joke. Some people have some private trepidations. 2 other governors say, he's great. No, he's great. So, all right, his brain might be a problem. We don't know, but let's see. Maybe Joe Biden can clear some of this up for us. So he was there on the 4th of July giving some different talks, and I have a couple short clips of the president. Let's go ahead and see if this was his brain functioning or not. Here is one from RNC Research and Sarah Rose. Here is Joe.
In that World War I cemetery in France. And the one that one of our colleagues, the former president, didn't want to go and be up there. I probably shouldn't even say it. Anyway.
Yeah.
We got to just remember who the hell we are. We're the United States of America. Whoa.
Okay, so that was a little bit of a broken brain and then a scream, which is much what Joe Biden does. There was also this exchange. So Kamala was actually introducing him as the vice president. And you'll listen to this very closely. And she says it very quickly. She says, want to introduce you to the president. Want to introduce you to the president, the commander-in-chief, the great Joe Biden.
And we give thanks to our commander-in-chief, the president of the United States, the extraordinary president of the United States, Joe Biden!
Ah, my ear.
Ho, ho, ho! Happy Independence Day!
Ho, ho, ho. Okay, so I don't know if that's just a weird thing he says. Ho, ho, ho. Bah humbug. Trick or treat. I don't know what he's doing. So that's what it sounds like. They're having a hard time trying to create some energy, and they're introducing each other. Then Joe Biden came out and got the mic. This was a little bit of that. Here's this exchange. And this was the good clip. So this is the one that they shared. This is the one. It's about 42 seconds. They shared this one of Joe from Biden-Harris HQ. So we're not pulling stuff out of context. This is like the good one. And this is what they wanted to share for all of us to see.
Happy Independence Day. We got to do what our founders did. Show the world we're a nation of dignity, honor, and just devotion to one another. I really mean it. Folks, it's all about democracy. It's all about freedom. It's all about who we are. We're the United States of America, and nothing like it exists in the world. Happy 4th of July. Enjoy the fireworks. God love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, so that's the good one that they shared, and that's about all we got. So then they came out a little bit later, and Joe was celebrating with Kamala. We're wondering if there's going to be the old switcheroo happening. Here was the scene when they brought out the first family and the second family out to speak to America. Here is the scene.
The one person we haven't seen yet is Hunter Biden.
Well, he was in the back there.
Did you see him? Just spot him?
Wrangling the young,
that's
young child.
So he's there,
little blonde boy.
And there's been some reporting.
Is.
Yeah, that's the
Wow.
image they want to portray.
Okay.
That is what they want the country to see, that they are united, that he's not going anywhere, and she is steadfast right behind him. And I guess they're pointing up at the fireworks now, which I believe have begun. But look, I mean, I gotta say, yeah, there go the fireworks
Look at
now.
that.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so they're doing that little hand-holding routine, and this makes total sense. As we speculated yesterday, they're actually stronger together. It's not a good idea for either of them to break up. They have strength in numbers, and Democrats who are a little skittish on Joe will have backup plan B. If they're worried about Joe, they'll just go, okay, well, he's probably going to, resign or keel over anyways after the election, so it'll be her number 2. And if they get rid of Joe and force him out, then maybe he throws a fit and starts taking the money and starts causing a ruckus that they don't want to deal with. And if she's just number 2, then they can avoid the intra-party fight that might happen with Whitmer and Newsom trying to jump all over each other. Newsom will easily come in as number 2 under Kamala, right? Now we have the California team getting back together. They're peas in a pod, and there's enough distance there because Newsom could just be, I'm sure, slotted in as VP at some point before the election if that needs to happen. But so you can see it's all now coming together, and we'll see if those donors get the message. Now, this is also a curious clip that was catching a lot of attention. Apparently, Joe Biden was also the first black vice president, which is strange, black female vice president, which I thought was Kamala. So this clip is getting a lot of attention. See what you think about it.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman to serve with a black president. I'm proud of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America.
He keeps saying that's his line. You can tell that when he runs out of things to say, he just goes back to that. I think that's been 3 times now on these last 3 clips. Hey, look, we're the United States of America. No, I'm serious. No, I'm being serious. We are. All right. So I think he was saying or intending to say that he was the vice president with the first black president, and then he brought on the first female black vice president. I think. But what it sounded like is that he said he was the first female black vice president, which, based on his brain, may be something that he thinks. We don't really know. So that's what he said. So we have to take him at his word. Joe Biden thinks he's probably Kamala. Okay. So this was also another interesting scene. Here was Ashley and Hunter getting their little dance on back here. So you can see this is the first family there. And there's Ashley. There's Hunter. And last year, remember, he was pretty much coked out of his brain. He was out front and center, like, I love these fireworks, man. These fireworks are great. This is incredible. Wow. We're going, all right, that dude's cracked out. Then we turn around and we find that there was literally cocaine in the White House. And so now I think we don't know if there's cocaine again, or maybe there's some other drugs, some other drugs being spread around, but who knows? Okay, it's the White House, so It's just a crack house bonanza there. So that is the scene. Now, the media still is tired of Joe. They're saying, look, man, you got to go. So those governors who also met with Joe, who were told that he goes to bed at 8 o'clock and don't worry about it because he gets sleepy, were on with CNN. And listen to this. This was a fun one. CNN, this anchor was just not having it. Says, well, what are you talking about? Says he is the president. Like, we need to know about his medical condition, so don't give me this nonsense. This was a fun one from this Josh Green fella, who was the governor of Hawaii, who was asking about Joe Biden's mental capacity when he said, oh, no, don't worry about it, okay? It's only my brain. I'm fine. It's just my neurons. I'm okay, though.
He gets up probably in the extreme wee hours of the morning to help our country, as do we all for our states. So it's not uncommon to have fatigue. That was what he shared, and I think that is pretty normal for an elderly gentleman who's 81, and it's pretty normal even for his opponent. So it was a pretty satisfying description of where he is. But I will tell you this, I'm not his physician. We were very satisfied to hear the president perked up, and he looked great just now addressing people about 4th of July.
Did anyone in the meeting ask to speak to his physician or, to get more information about his health or anything like that?
Great question.
I know, because that would be completely inappropriate. We don't, as Americans, ask for access to other people's personal medical records.
Right, but this
that's
is the
not what
president
governors would
of the
do.
United States.
Yeah. Good call.
Oh, of course. But, a bunch of governors are not going to ask to see your medical records. And so that's just not the case. And he did get a checkup. People are going to judge the president. They're going to judge the former president.
Green lied.
I can say some blunt things with you if you'd like, which is to say
it.
Look,
Do it.
Of course, he's going to have some moments. He's 81. But this is a 81-year-old who may drift periodically. He races ahead of his words sometimes because that's always been Joe. And he's got a very good-hearted nature underneath a brain that's 81 years old, as opposed to his opponent, who has a malignant personality underneath his brain. He has a personality
That's interesting. So he's willing to diagnose Trump, huh? A malignant personality. What is that in the psychiatric manual, DSM-5? Is that going to be in there? You diagnosing him? You want to look at his medical records there, Josh?
That even attacks this president here on 4th of July. And people can judge that. This is a time where we're going to have to judge two gentlemen who are both around age 80 and see who's going to care more for the people of America. That's really what this comes down to. But we were glad to see the president yesterday.
Let me ask you, because the New York Times has some new reporting about a question, is part of your question during the meeting. Let's see, it says, after Governor Josh Green of Hawaii, a physician, asked Mr. Biden a question about the status of his health, Mr. Biden replied that his health was fine. It's just my brain, he added, according to three people familiar with what took place. A remark that some in the room took as a joke, but at least one governor did not and was puzzled by. Jen O'Malley Dillon, Mr. Biden's campaign chair who attended the meeting, said in a statement that he had said, all kidding aside, a recollection confirmed by another person briefed on the meeting. So she also said he was clearly making a joke. How did you take it? What was the vibe in the room when he said it's just my brain? Just give us some color of what was going on. Bring us inside that room.
Was it his brain?
Sure. To all America, people have to be able to take a joke. This is absolutely a self-deprecating joke, which is. Yeah,
I'm sure it is. You have to be able to take a joke. Hey, man, we all have been living this joke for quite a long time. But first of all, their party is the party that lacks any humor at all. Many of them have never laughed ever. And now they're going to lecture us about a joke. The problem is the joke's a little too close to home, right? Some things you just don't joke about when it's almost the end of your entire political campaign,
It's very common for the president to make. The difference is Joe Biden makes a self-deprecating joke because he's comfortable about that, as opposed to what we would hear from the former president, who would probably be saying things like, Trump's brain is great. Trump can pass any test. Trump's brain passed the MRI scan in the third person. I mean, Biden was just kidding with us. And frankly, and I'm saying this as a physician, it is a significant ability to cognitively still be able to make a self-deprecating joke. So if anything, people do need to lighten up. Now, I know that the whole
All right. So the fact that Joe Biden made a joke means his brain is completely functional. And you can rest easy, America. Joe Biden's in charge, and he's hilarious. Making jokes that half the room goes, oh, gosh, is that a joke or is that real? Because it might be real. Because it matches our observations. We have a demented president. So we are going to continue to cover this, my friends. We'll see if those donors make good on their promises or if all of this is just a little temper tantrum. You know, Democrats do that a lot, too. Just throw hissy fits all the time. And we're all going to die, lock everything down, get this, or grandma's going to get killed. You know, all the stuff. It's never ending with them. Trump's going to end democracy. It's constant. So they'll throw their hissy fit, but eventually they'll want to go back to the party. And if Joe Biden doesn't go anywhere, that's their people. So those money gates will open again. Joe will continue to get funded. And we hope he does, man. We support Joe Biden here on this channel for the Democratic nominee. It would be ridiculous for them to undermine the will of their own voters and just be beholden to their big fat cat Democrat donors. They should stand by their man, and we'll support them as they do. Thank you, my friends, for subscribing us and joining us as we support the Democrats with their incredible candidate, Joe Biden. We'll be here continuing to cover it. Thank you for joining us as we do. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for inviting someone you know or love to come check out our channel and join us when we go live. We'll look forward to seeing you and them back here on the next one. All right, my friends. So let's carry on because, man, this story is brutal. And we'll talk about it. A brutal insider report explains just how far gone Joe Biden is. It is devastating. And this was just recently released, making many people wonder why it took so long for this to finally come out. If the person who wrote this knew all about this, why weren't they alerting the Democrats, raising the red flags for everybody to see before things got so far gone? But the story is wild. We spend some time on it, and we'll fast forward through it, going through the debate. But you see, this was written by Olivia Newsy, New York's Washington correspondent. The article is from nymag.com, and it's talking about this conspiracy of silence to protect Joe Biden. Like a RICO conspiracy or something like that? Interesting. The president's mental decline was like a dark family secret for many elite supporters. And I'd encourage you to read this whole thing, but it's quite long. And so we're going to fast forward through all of the exposition, walking us through a lot of the color, and jump right in to the meat and potatoes here. This journalist is reporting, saying that all the way back in January, okay, after the debate, we already know we've lived this a lot, but here's the backstory. Why was this all so quiet and so secret up until very recently? Why couldn't these people figure this out, put two and two together? Here's this journo writing, in January, I began hearing similar stories from Democratic officials, activists, and donors that Joe was going bye-bye. All people who supported the president and were working to help re-elect him to a second term. Now, following encounters with the president, they had arrived at the same concern. Could he really do this for another 4 years? Could he even make it to election day? Questions we've been asking since 2020. Now, uniformly, these people were of a similar social strata. They lived and they socialized in Washington, New York, and Los Angeles. They did not wish to come forward with their stories because they're good little Democrats who fall in line. They did not want to blow a whistle because they're like sheep. They don't ever want to stand out. They wish that they could whistle past what they knew and emerge in November victorious and relieved, hiding their heads in the sand, burying their existence from the reality. Now, they couldn't think that far ahead. When they discussed what they knew, what they had seen, what they had heard, they literally whispered to each other. Joe Biden's demented. They can't even talk about it. They were scared. They were horrified. What a way to live. But they were also burdened. They needed to talk about it, though they couldn't talk about it on the record. Could you imagine living your life this way? Like this is how you exist in your political world. You can't even talk about your candidate. You can't even talk about your politics. You know that you're living a lie. Your entire political philosophy is based around living a lie. That's why they're so miserable. And I'm not joking about that. It's this self-perpetuating state of misery. And they always need somebody else to fix things for them. And then they're hiding in their dishonesty. It's a miserable existence from what I can tell. And it looks like it too. Now, they needed to know that they were not alone and not crazy. Well, you were crazy because you were denying reality. But things were so bad, and they knew things were bad, and they knew others must also know things were bad, and yet they would need to pretend outwardly that things were fine. Talk about insanity. The president was fine. The election would be fine. They would be fine. To admit otherwise would mean jeopardizing the future of the country. And, well, nobody wanted to be responsible for that. Okay, so Trump is worse than a non-entity, I guess. Their disclosures often followed innocent questions that popped up. People would ask them, have you seen the president lately? How does he seem? Everybody wants someone else to reassure them. Oh, no, he's good. Often they would answer with only silence, their eyes widening cartoonishly, their heads shaking back and forth with disapproving sounds. Phew. Or with a simple, not good, not good. Or with an accusatory question of their own. Have you seen him? All these Democrats living around in this state of total despair, trying to make sense of their distorted reality. What a life. Now, those who encounter the president in social settings sometimes left their interactions disturbed. Longtime friends of the Biden family who spoke to me on condition of anonymity were shocked to find the president did not remember their names. Oh, at a White House event last year, a guest recalled with horror realizing that the president would not be able to stay for the reception because it was clear he would not be able to make it through the reception. Everyone's just covering it up. The guest wasn't sure they could even vote for Biden, since the guest was now open to the idea that they had previously dismissed as right-wing propaganda that the president may not really be the acting president after all. Ding, ding, ding. Well done. Good job. I mean, and many of these people have a lot of opinion-making power and a lot of decision-making capability. And they're so dense that they're living in some weird bubble where they think their own eyes are the product of right-wing propaganda. We're just playing videos of Joe here. What are you talking about? Been doing that since 2020. They're his own videos. The president may really not be the acting president after all. Wow, it took him like 3 years to figure that out. You're kidding. Geniuses. So others told me, and my point is, if that's the truth, I think the better excuse for them, the more believable excuse would to just say, look, Rob, if they came out and said, look, Rob, dude, I know he's demented, okay, but we have to win, and he's our best shot at winning. So we had to cobble it together. Yeah, it wasn't a lie. It's politics, all right? It's a little dishonest, okay, but we were giving him the benefit of the doubt, right? It's 50-50. We are 51%. It's more likely than not that he's competent. We think, okay. So, okay, fine. That's a little bit of a more mechanical way of looking at it, maybe a cynical way of looking at it. But it's politics, and okay, it's a blood sport. That's fine. But to come out and just say, I had no idea, it means that your powers of observation and analysis are just crap. So if that is true, which I don't think it is, I think it resembles the 51 letter cover-up. They also were not mistaken. They were malicious. They knew what they were doing. Same thing's happening here. But I guess some of these people might be so dumb, and if this is true, like they're just this guest realizes for the first time, wow, he's not well. You then have to question, I think, all of their judgments on basically everything else, because stuff like this is so obvious. Same thing with the 51 letter. It was so obvious to anybody who actually looked at it, if you were being honest with yourself, that to conclude otherwise, I think poisons the rest of your analysis because it's just so bad. So, but now this is why they're trying to fix that, because they recognize what a catastrophe this is to their credibility, which is why they're all backpedaling like we're seeing today. Now, others told me that the president was becoming increasingly hard to get a hold of, even as it related to government business. The type of things that any U.S. president would communicate about on a regular basis, he couldn't do it. Biden instead was cocooned within mounting layers of bureaucracy, spoken for more than he was being spoken to. Now, saying hello to one Democratic megadonor and family friend at the White House recently, the president stared blankly, nodded his head. Eyes are just dead. The First Lady intervened to whisper in her husband's ears. Dr. Jill leaned in, said, "Say hello, Joe." To say hello to the donor by name, telling Joe to say hello. Say hello, Mr. Donor, and say thank you like you would an 8-year-old. The president repeated the words his wife had fed him. "Oh, hello, Mr. Donor. Thank you so much for your generosity." The president repeated the words that Jill fed into his mouth. "It hasn't been good for a long time, but it's gotten so much worse," a witness to the exchange told me. So much worse. Now, who is actually in charge? Nobody knew. But surely someone was in charge, right? And surely there must be a plan, since surely the situation could not endure, right? This journalist writes, "I heard these questions posed at cocktail parties on the coasts, but I also heard them at MAGA rallies in Middle America. There emerged a comical overlap between the beliefs of the nation's most elite liberal Biden supporters and the most rabid conspiratorial supporters of Trump, which is not a conspiracy at all. Everybody who thought Joe Biden was brain dead and that the media was covering up for him was completely vindicated. Robert Hur, completely vindicated. Everybody who called him a liar and called everybody else who actually was commenting on this we didn't even need to sit down with Joe Biden and interview him to know that he is not there. And now they're calling us conspirators. It's the same thing, just like we were conspirators with COVID and Russian conspirators, and it's never ending. Resistance, QAnon, whatever. There had to be a secret group of high-level leaders who control Biden. Is that wrong? Or is that absolutely right? And who will set into motion their plan to replace Biden. Nothing else made sense. They were in full agreement. Now, what I saw for myself confirmed something was amiss, says this journalist. Thank you. I spent much of the spring, summer, and the fall of 2020 on the primary campaign trail with Biden. In the period before he was granted Secret Service protection, his events were usually of modest size, were more freewheeling affairs. Reporters inched up to the candidate. He took the rope line. He rarely took questions even back then. A teetotaler, he was not the kind of candidate who hung out at a hotel bar after campaigning. Although Jill would enjoy a glass of Pinot Noir in a Marriott lobby, but he was visible, closely observable. A campaign trail is a grueling exercise for anybody, any age. From the youngest network embeds to the oldest would-be presidents, and back then, there were days when Biden appeared sharper than on others. I knew it was a good day when he saw me and winked. This is in 2020. On such occasions, he joked and prayed and cried with voters. He stayed, take a photograph. There was no question back then he was alive and present. On bad days, which were unpredictable, but reliably occurred during a challenging news cycle, Biden was less animated then. In 2020, he stared off. He did not make eye contact. He would trip over words, even if they were programmed into a teleprompter. And when that happened, he was hurried out of the venue quickly, and he was ushered into a waiting SUV. Okay, that was back then. And we were commenting on that back then. Basement Biden, they were keeping him under the bunker under the pretext of COVID. Now this April, as they were rigging the election, at a reception before the White House Correspondents' Dinner, this journalist is back 4 years later. A sea of people waiting for a photo with the president and the first lady in the basement of the Hilton. Photo line is a trauma. The main attraction must stand there. It's a human prop, person after person. You've seen these. All in the photo line. Now, the first person I saw upon entering the space was First Lady Jill. I like her a lot. The Bidens are famous for their willingness to mourn with others, blah, blah, blah. Now, in the basement, I smiled and said hello. She looked back at me with a confused and panicked expression. It was as if she had just received horrible news and was about to run out of the room and into some kind of family emergency. Dr. Jill says, hi. Then she glanced over to her right. Oh, okay. Hi. Oh. So she looks over, Dr. Jill looks over to her right and says, oh. So now we look at the, oh. Journalist says, I had not seen the president up close in some time. I had skipped this season's holiday parties, and I was preoccupied with covering Trump's legal and political dramas, obviously, because it's more important than anything. So I hadn't been showing up at the White House. Probably a nice little distraction also. Everybody's talking about Trump. They're not worried about Joe Biden's dementia. Now, unlike Trump, he wasn't very accessible to the press anyways. I couldn't get to Joe. Trump was out there talking to the press every day outside of the courtroom. So why bother? Biden had done few interviews. He wasn't prone to interrupting his schedule with a surprise media circus in the Oval Office. He kept a tight circle, the same close advisors for 30 years. So unlike with Trump, you didn't need to hang around the West Wing hallways to try to speak to him. It was all locked down. Now, I followed the First Lady's gaze. She shows up to this party, and I found the president. Now I understood why Dr. Jill had a panicked expression. Up close, the President Biden does not look quite plausible. It's not that he's old. We all know what old looks like. Bernie Sanders is old. Mitch McConnell is old. Most of the ruling class is old. The president was something stranger. Something not of this earth. Now, this was true even in 2020, though. His face had then an uncanny valley quality that injectable aficionados call low trust, if only by millimeters. His cosmetically altered proportions knocked his overall facial harmony into the realm of impossibility. Skin's all manipulated, eyes half shut, doesn't blink at the regular time, has a weird stare. Now, if the president was being portrayed in this way, they came out and said a lot of the criticism was just about cheap fakes. Now, they didn't need to monitor him. They thought this was good enough. They were focused on Trump. But my heart stopped, she says, as I extended my hand to greet the president. My heart stopped. I tried to make eye contact, but it was like his eyes, though open, were not on. His face had a waxy quality. He smiled. It was a sweet smile. It made me sad in a way I can't fully convey. I always thought, and I wrote, that he was a decent man. If ambition was his only sin, it seemed to be committed sin that all politicians do. But he took my hand in his, and I was startled by how it felt. Not cold, but cool. The basement was so warm that people were sweating and complaining that they were sweating. This was a silly black tie affair. I said, hello. Biden's sweet smile stayed frozen. He spoke very slowly in a very soft voice. And what's your name? He asked. Exiting the room after the photo, the group of reporters, not instigated by me, I should note, made guesses about how dead he appeared to be, percentage-wise, which is hysterical. That's exactly what I would be joking about if I were in there. Someone says, what, 40% dead? Yeah, 40%'s about good. He was at 60% dead 2 nights ago. You should have seen that. If you thought tonight was bad, 60% is way bad. It was a bad night, okay? That was the spin from the White House and his allies. But when I watched the president amble stiffly across the stage, my first thought was, he doesn't look so bad. For months, everything I had heard plus some of what I had seen led me to brace for something much more dire. So she's actually saying, it sounds like he forgot her name and he's actually been worse. All right. So what we saw at the debate stage was actually better. This is a piece from Olivia Newsy, who apparently knew long time ago that Joe Biden is just terrible. And it's been bad ever since. So if you want to read the first part of the article from her, it's over at NY Mag. And there's obviously a lot of people who know this is a very big problem. Now, they dragged out Newsom to try to paper over this thing and rehabilitate the image. And what it feels like is that Newsom is trying to campaign for number 2. So when Kamala goes into number 1, they'll bring up Newsom for number 2. They're going to need a white male in there to calm their racist party. So here is what Newsom said.
They don't even reimburse you. I've been going wherever I've been asked, whatever task, large and small, because I believe in this man. I believe in his character. I believe that he has been one of the most transformative presidents in our collective lifetime. I really believe it.
That's true. I mean, we're on the brink of multiple world wars. Our border has been wide open. Our currency has been wrecked. Economy is, I think, pretty rough. They'll say differently because like 3 stocks are very good. But yeah, it's been transformative. We've never had political prosecutions before. We've got a bunch of people sitting in custody because of Joe Biden prosecuting his enemies. So yeah, the country's dramatically different, no doubt.
There's a decency with Joe Biden.
There is?
And I'm old-fashioned. Character matters, but I'm also old-fashioned in this respect. Results matter.
Character matters? Is that why you slept with your campaign manager's wife?
Politics is not just performative, not just entertainment. It's about getting things done.
Your state is one of the most broken states in the entire country.
A remarkable 3.5 years from my perspective. It's been, dare I say, a masterclass. And I don't say that lightly. And I hope we pause. Democrat, we're so good at focusing again on what's wrong and not celebrating what's right. That's right. Yeah. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that for a second. I mean, we are the envy of the globe. Doesn't matter where you go. The rest of the world looks at us and says, what are they all complaining about? Look at this economy. 40 straight months with unemployment at or below 4%. Best in our lifetime.
I think except until those numbers came out, what, today? It's like at 4.1% today, so that talking point's gone. And that talking point is a stupid talking point anyways, because they always revise the numbers. And if you look at the numbers, they're counting part-time jobs rather than full-time jobs, and a bunch of illegal immigrants are taking those jobs, and it's not a good situation in general. But and also, they're very excited about everybody working. Everybody's working, and nobody's saving. Everybody's broke. So, all right, that's apparently going to be the guy who's going to slot in here and maybe bring up the number 2 position to try to save this administration. But Joe Biden is gone. Can't remember anybody, and that was probably a good day for him. They had 7 days of prep. Was probably about as rested as he can get, and he's not remembering reporters' names. Jill Biden's horrified he's going to keel over. They're throwing him out of events like they threw Hillary into that van like a side of beef when she collapsed. Can't the Democrats just have somebody who can function for a campaign season? I mean, what's going on here? But we're going to continue to cover this, my friends. The knives are out for Joe, as you could see. They're saying he's like a wax figure who's 40% dead, which is low. Those numbers are low, okay? It's like definitely 80, okay? It's at least 80. 80% on a good day. So we'll continue to cover this, my friends. Thank you so much for subscribing and liking this video. And thank you so much for inviting someone you know or love to come check this channel out. YouTube does not like to promote our stuff because we're not authoritative, you know, like CNN is. So we appreciate you sharing it. Great way for us to reach new people and to have some more fun here. So thanks for doing that. We got another great video queued up coming up next. Thanks for sticking around, watching that one. And we'll see you back here on the next one. All right, we've got one more to go, my friends. Short segment, but as per usual, Donald Trump comes with solutions. He can save the Biden campaign, and he's willing to do it because he is just the gentleman of all gentlemen. You can see this is what he posted over on True Social. We know that Joe Biden's having a real difficult time after that bad debate night, and it was just one bad debate. Come on. We all have bad days here. It's not enough to just end everything, especially after millions of Americans have voted for Joe Biden and they stand behind him. It would be ridiculous for this country to disenfranchise all of those Democrats. And Donald Trump loves American democracy and our constitutional republic and the process that we go through. And he doesn't want to disenfranchise or insurrect anybody. But as we've talked about, Democrats are trying to throw Joe to the wolves for one bad debate. It's ridiculous. And Trump says, we can fix it. We can make Joe Biden's campaign great again. And we support that because Joe Biden is the best Democratic nominee for the Democrats. And we're looking forward to facing off against him in the general election. So here's what Trump said in solution. I have the answer to the crooked Joe Biden incompetence puzzle. Just like he's going to solve Ukraine. He says, here's the idea. Let's do another debate. Aha. But this time, no holds barred. An all-on discussion with just the two of us on stage, talking about the future of our country. The ratings were massive for the first debate. Record-setting, in fact. But this one, because of the format, would blow everything away. Let Joe explain himself. Give him an opportunity to explain why he wants open borders. For example, with millions of people and many violent criminals from other parts of unknown world pouring into our once great nation. Or Joe Biden can explain why he wants men playing in women's sports or demand all electric vehicles within 5 years. He could explain that. Or he could explain why he allowed inflation to run rampant and wreck our dollar. He could also explain why he is destroying the people of our country and so much more. It would also, under great pressure, prove his competence. Man, Trump is just a gentleman. Or lack thereof. Likewise, it would be yet another test for me. Trump wants to push himself, always in the perseverance of greatness. What a great evening it would be, says Trump. Just the two of us, one-on-one, in a good old-fashioned debate, the way they used to be. Anytime, anywhere, any place. A beautiful Independence Day offer from President Trump. What a nice guy. You know, and this is a real gentlemanly thing to do. You don't want to be a sore winner, right? Just like you don't want to be a sore loser, you don't want to be a sore winner. So if you beat somebody, let's say you're in a wrestling match or you're doing some sort of competitive sport, and it's like a quick match, right? You come out, boom, boom, boom. You tech the other person. It's like 15-0. You knock them out. And they say, wait, I just had a bad night. And you say, hey, okay. Yeah, like if you don't think this was a legitimate, like if my victory was illegitimate and you just had a bad night, happy to go again. Happy to do it. In fact, it'd be great. I love the exercise. I love the sport. I'm a good sportsman. That's what Trump is doing. And Joe Biden should take him up on this, and Democrats should also embrace this, okay? They've told us for years, Joe Biden's competent. We have vigorous Joe Scarborough saying, this is the best Biden we've ever seen. So they should accept Joe. They should arm him back up with some more applesauce or whatever. Get him back out there. Put him on the debate stage. And we should do this again. Donald Trump offering to unite America. Hopefully the Democrats accept this. And we have another debate. We'll see if they do. Now, Joe Scarborough, who got kicked out of his house after he got into it with Mika Brzezinski, his wife, on the Brzezinski show, they were very upset after the debate. They were all freaked out. Remember, Mika came out. She says, I'm not freaking out. You're freaking out. And Joe said, I'm not freaking out. You're freaking out. And then she looked at him like this. She said, and then he went on vacation. So there was that one show, and then Joe Scarborough, Brzezinski, was gone for like a week. We don't know what he was doing or if he was cleaning out another office. But he's back, and he had some things to say. He's, okay, Mika told me to go talk to my therapist. I did. And I've meditated now, and I now have some things to say. Here's Joe.
3.5 years and a terrible debate. And what Democrats need to find out this week, and what Democrats need to worry about this week, are not what the newspapers that were lying about Joe Biden for years before
They're your
this past week
bro.
say. They need to look to Joe Biden. And he needs to answer the question, is he capable of moving forward? And he knows he needs to answer that question.
Like 2
He
weeks
needs to
ago.
answer it in interviews. He needs to answer it in press conferences. He needs to answer it at the NATO summit. He needs to answer it in everything that he does. As for the rest of us, and that's Democrats, that's independents, that's Republicans of good faith. Let's be smart. Let's take a deep breath, and let's understand it's only July the 5th.
Oh, plenty of time.
Such an historic decision should not be made in haste. Now listen, the Democratic Party is not my party. I'm an independent.
Okay.
But it is the only party that is standing between our democracy, our great constitutional republic, and an autocratic thug who is promised to be dictator on day one. So Democrats, you better get this right. You better think through it.
What?
You better take your time. You better take a deep breath. And you better get this right. And if you do, America will follow you. Most Americans do not want the other guy to be elected president of the United States. So don't put them in a position where they feel like they have to vote for the tyrant by default. Do take the time necessary, though, to get this right.
Okay, so you're part of the conversation there. What is your take there, Joe Brzezinski? Do you want him to stay or not? Because 2 weeks ago, you were saying he was outstanding. He was incredible. He had all the vigor, and anybody else who was questioning that was a moron. All right, here's Brian Stelter, Mr. Potato Head. Remember him? He got fired from CNN, and he like won't leave the building. So he's now zooming in. They keep bringing him back on. And here's what he said about all of this. He's like, can I just hang out with you? They're like, we have nobody else. So I guess. All right. Do we want Brian on today? And you're like, ugh. Is there anyone else? No? All right. Okay, fine. Put him on.
I think before the last week, voters were ahead of the media on this. What I mean is that voters had already decided, most voters, that Biden was too old to be president for 4 more years. But now the elite media is ahead of the Democratic base. The elite media, like The Economist, calling on Biden to resign. All this talk about a Kamala Harris presidency. Look, Jim, we may be in a world where we're going to have the first female president in the United States in a matter of weeks. That is not impossible. It seemed crazy maybe a couple of weeks ago before the debate. But we are now in an environment where there are a lot of possibilities.
Can you imagine?
I think that points to the asymmetry of these two parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. The Republicans are backing their convicted felon candidate to the hilt. Democrats are having a very active conversation about throwing their guy overboard. These two parties are so different. They're not the same. There's an asymmetry here. And you're seeing that in the media coverage as well, where liberal-leaning outlets are pressing for Biden to go because they believe that's the way to stop Trump. At the end of the day, this entire conversation about Biden is actually a conversation about Donald Trump.
Yeah, obviously. So they want Trump stopped no matter what. That's why they try to throw him off the ballot. That's why they're trying to imprison him. That's why they're lying about everything that they possibly can, including Joe Biden's capacity and his capability to govern the country. So Vivek is asking a good question. If they're lying about Joe's capacity, what else are they lying about? Karine will lie to you about his doctor's appointments. They'll lie to you about his vigor. They'll say he's amazing. He remembers everything when he can't remember people's names. And if they're willing to lie about that stuff, which is pretty important, what else are they willing to lie about? Ukraine, immigration, employment numbers, January 6th, FBI, everything? Yes. Here's Vivek.
This is the beginning of a process, Kayleigh. There is no way Biden's able to go forward. With this type of rift with the main institution that's given him cover, the mainstream media, it is done. It's only a question of when. I think they're not in a rush to do it. The longer it goes between now and late August, the better it is for them, because whoever the new candidate is, they're going to have a honeymoon phase with the public. No doubt about it. It's like the feeling that somebody who's been a tortured prisoner might have with respect to the person who releases them. That's going to be their attitude towards whoever succeeds Joe Biden. They want the election to occur within that honeymoon period. So you're going to see these hoops that they jump through. I think it's going to be a steady decline. But at the end of the day, there's no path forward for Biden. What I want Democrats at home to ask themselves, though, and independents to ask themselves is, how could they possibly have lied for this long? If they lied for this long about Biden's fitness, what else are they also lying to us about now? Who is actually running the government in the United States of America? And the sad truth is, Kayleigh, we lack a good answer to that question. And I think we, the people, deserve honesty in this country. That's not a left-wing or a right-wing point. And I think that's the most important question right now to come out of all of this.
Yes, but many of them don't care. They're okay being lied to as long as it serves their political ideology. The facts don't matter. Their identity matters. Reality doesn't matter at all. They were told Joe Biden is outstanding. And turns out he's not. But he's not Trump. And they've been so oriented to be anti-Trump that anything else that gives them relief from this programmed visceral reaction that they have is what they'll do, right? It's like COVID, or it's any one of these other threats that are programmed into people. They'll do anything to avoid the pain of that perceived threat, even if it's not a realistic threat. They'll avoid it. They'll sacrifice their families. They'll sacrifice their bodies. They'll sacrifice their careers because the fear is so powerful. And a lot of people in this country have that. It's called TDS. So we're going to be here continuing to cover this, my friends. All of the election litigation and Trump's tremendous offer to save the Biden campaign. Hopefully he takes him up on that, because it would be a nice opportunity for Joe to be able to redeem himself in front of all of America if he can do it. We'd love to see him try. We'll be here to cover it as we watch 2024 unfold. Thank you so much for subscribing, my friends. Thank you for sharing our channel with a friend or family member so that they can join us as we cover this madness together here. We'll be back on the next one. We hope to see you here on that one. And so that is it for us on the day, my friends. We got 3 good segments in the can on this beautiful Friday. We got Trump saving the Biden campaign and America, brutal inside report on the Biden family and his just terrible dementia, and Joe Biden now being threatened by the Democrats. Get out or else. We're cutting off the money for everybody. But now let's see what you have to say about this. I hope you're having an incredible close to your week, and I hope your Independence Day was outstanding and amazing and beautiful. Let's see who is here before we wrap it up on the day. We've got some great photos here from the Knox Bierman family, which here we'll just put. So, okay, this is a message from Knox. Says, TGIF all, greetings from the future attorneys of Libra Law, Texas. Oh, what a great day we had, and I hope you all did as well. And so Knox is sharing some beautiful pictures of some youngins over there in Texas on the Locals channel. And so thank you, Knox, for sharing that one in. Looks like a beautiful group there, and it's a great day. It's a beautiful day. Looks like a beautiful 4th celebration. 2 new babies in the house. What's up? Mima is in the house. Mima sharing this one. Hello, everyone. I have great news. Went to the job interview yesterday. It went very well. They called me a few hours later to tell me that I was hired. Tremendous, Mima, tremendous. So I have a new job that in that private college with great advantages. And it's going to be a great addition, Mima. We know that you're going to be critical and integral to the entire team, and we're glad that you made it through the process and you landed where you should be. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Mima. Grateful to have you here. Says, this is so exciting and I'm so happy. Thanks to everyone for your prayers. I am so grateful. Thank you for that, Mima. We're grateful that you got it all nicely done and situated and that it worked out. You deserve it. Hey, it's the Munkets is here. Bringing in 10 new membos. What's up? Tony Hay Munkets. Bringing in Tectonic Edge. What's up? Auto Hoax. Mike N. Daniel T. Greg S. Ike S. We got Greg M. Ugly A. What's up? Josh P. Bumstead and Ann Shaw all in the house coming in courtesy of Tony Hay Munkets. Hey, it's the Munkets. What's up? Bill Dozer says, ho, ho, ho. Happy Independence Day. Hopefully you're all real good boys and girls out there. So Chris Kringle can bring you something nice on Independence Day. Hey, Knox Bierman, defense attorney in Texas, sharing this one. Says, Karine Jean-Pierre claims that Biden still had jet lag from driving that big rig around in the 1960s. Oh, yeah, those can be a lot. Takes a couple decades to get through that one. Chris 1, what's up? Bringing in new membos. Bringing in Tim M, J.E. Bennett. We got pickle jars for Hillary. Good luck on that one, Hillary. Jim J and D. Gillis, gifted membos, courtesy of Chris 1, who's an amazing membo. Thank you, Chris, for bringing in new membos. Hey, AOC's mind map is here, which is not a very big one. Says, here's a new rumor. Obama will replace Kamala. Joe will win with Obama. Joe steps down. Obama becomes a fourth-term president. I don't think that could happen because of the Constitution, but it's an interesting idea. I thought you were saying Obama, Michelle Obama, maybe. Michelle Obama, that could be plausible, but I don't think Obama could do that. But it's AOC's mind map. Thank you for that idea. It's a fun one. Hopefully that never happens. What's up, CB? New supporter over on the YouTubes. We'll see you on our members only morning stream, CB. Good to see you. Glocky says, the Democrat judge in places like Wisconsin are reinstating all the voting shenanigans that happened in 2020, like ballot drop boxes and other stuff. And Democrat governors in places like Pennsylvania are refusing to sign new laws to stop election fraud. So it looks like Biden is staying in. They're going to do in 24 what they did in 20, except this time they just might let Joe lose and instead cheat the House and the Senate races to try to hide all the cheating and to make it less obvious. Glocky sharing this one. This is interesting how Kamala went from being the first Indian woman to being the first black woman. The gaslighting is insane. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. Yeah, they talked about her being the first Indian woman elected to the Senate when she was running, and then it switched to black woman. So I guess she's kind of whatever. Hey, what's up? Cliff Norman says this would be a violation of the 12th Amendment. No person constitutionally ineligible to the office of the president shall be eligible to that of the vice president of the United States. Obama, has had 2 terms under the 22nd Amendment, and the 12th Amendment would make him ineligible to serve as VP. I think that was probably in reference to that other comment about Obama. If it was Michelle Obama, I think that's a different story, but certainly not Obama. He couldn't be the vice president because of that reason. The vice president has to be qualified to become the president, and Barack would not be eligible. Good to see you, Cliff. Hey, Sandy says, I want to see people start asking if the military is taking orders from Joe. The entire country now knows he's mentally incompetent. We are entitled to know. Glocky says, maybe he was thinking of Kamala when he was saying the ho, ho, ho part. Good question. Kamala or Christmas or either one. Ho, ho, ho is relevant to each one. Knox is here. Says Biden and Heiress may have been holding pause, but the spotlight was on her. Look who sticks out in the pic. She shines. He is dull and dumpy looking. It's a very good point, Knox. Yeah, it's like the out with the old, in with the new. Who's got the shine and glisten? The transition is happening. NY says, it's clear that the Democrats can't give 2 craps about the United States and its safety or security. The 25th Amendment was enacted for a reason. When you vest so much power in one person and the stakes are so high when they become impaired, we have a process to replace them. The Democrats, Biden's family, and the media have been complicit in a cover-up scam. Joe Biden clearly isn't in control. I think it's treasonous, far worse than any January 6th insurrection or any petty document scandal. Yeah, no doubt about that, because we have an executive branch that has a single president. That's it. We don't have a committee. We're not governed by a cabinet over there. It's a president. That's it. And what they're doing is violating the Constitution every day that we don't have that. Hey, Glocky, at this point, the Biden's coalition is probably just a bunch of white women, African-American, Hispanic-American communities, left Democrats in drove, small Asian communities, small communities. So expect pink hats, screaming brigades, to take to the street in November if Trump wins. No doubt about that. We got Elf in the house. What's up, Elf? ELF in the house. We got Kathy F, Linda H, Gail C, sure, not. Victo's here. Lactonic is here. What's up, Ronnie? We have Chris P, Cecilia M, and Adam, Madam Patriot, gifted membos. Knox is here. Says the White House is a crack house, LOL. Robert, I think it's more like a trap house. It's a lot of things in one. It's a crack house in the West Wing. It's a trap house in the East Wing. You never know. NY, what's up? Says 3/4 of the mainstream media have called for Biden to resign. Any Democrat cabinet officer, right, the entire New York Times page is like filled with that. Any Democrat cabinet member, officer that doesn't vote to have him removed should be impeached and tried themselves for treason. My Republican would say the Democrats only care about power and not our safety. Says no, Dr. Green. Doctors perform physicals and flunk people all the time for attention-sensitive positions. I work at night. I'm 52 years old. If I'm slurring my words and not making sense, I'm put off duty by my colleagues. It's simple. Yeah, you got to be able to function, right? You got to be able to even drive a car without swerving off the road. So if you can't become a president, if you can't speak as a president, that's a problem. Hey, T.A. Holloway says, Rob, as both are from California, doesn't a Kamala Gavin ticket face the same possible Article 2 electoral limitations as Trump DeSantis or Rubio ticket? Yeah, that's a good point. If Kamala got elevated, so is she still a resident? Like, is she still California now that she's been the vice president? It's a good question. And I think, could she, like, do they have a house somewhere else where she could declare somewhere else? Or would Newsom move or something? I mean, it's the same point. Remember, we had that problem where Trump and DeSantis were both from Florida. And I don't think we ever got clear answers on that. As, you know, could somebody just procedurally declare a different residence? And would that satisfy that Article 2 concern? Is there precedent for it? Has this been challenged? Has this been tried? What has the Supreme Court said about it? Yeah, I don't have a good answer on that, T.A. Holloway. But I'm sure it sounds like it would raise the same issue for sure. NY, what's up? Dr. Green, you know that patients with dementia will often use humor and deflection to hide their cognitive defects. Yeah. Sometimes I try to do that too, although I don't think I have dementia, but I do try to hide my cognitive defects with funny jokes that I think are funny, at least. Hey, Mima, what's up? Bringing in new membos. Hey, Mima. Hey, Mima got a job and she's bringing in a bunch of new membos. Thank you, Mima. RT's coming in. Rena M. JP's here. H. Heath B. Bilberry. We got angels in the house, all coming in courtesy of Mima. It's party time. We're celebrating the new job. Hey, this one, Goofy for Jesus, says, can we start a petition to get POTUS's medical record? I don't think so. This is absolute garbage. You know, in the Navy, we had regular medical evals. If we were fit or unfit, that was the distinction. Discharge that dude. Goofy for Jesus. No, I don't think they're going to give us POTUS's stuff. In the Navy, you got to report to somebody, but POTUS is kind of a special thing. He doesn't really report to anybody. But yeah, he's clearly unfit, so he should be discharged. What's up, Lady Ice? Says, yesterday I think it was Kamala introduced Joe Biden and almost slipped saying the vice, the president. Yeah, we played that clip, Lady Ice. Good one. NY says, I'm so glad you went over the nymag.com article. I believe this cover-up is a conspiracy, and after the investigation, those people should be prosecuted. Well, even like Kamala lied, right? They all came out after Robert Hur. And Robert Hur was a good marker because that was the DOJ's own independent analysis. And it wasn't Trump. Okay, Garland appointed him. He did the report. He said he couldn't charge him because he's so gone. And then that was something that got anchored in. They all responded to that. So Kamala said, no, Robert Hur's a liar. He's great. Everyone said that. So, okay, now the question is, okay, has Kamala ever admitted or ever said anything that actually is in support of what Robert Hur said? So did Kamala ever send an email or a text message, or are there other witnesses who would testify that Kamala has made jokes about Joe being gone? And so if she believed that Joe was gone and then she went out and lied to America about Joe's capability in response to the Robert Hur report, is that criminal in any way, shape, or form? Curious. I wonder. So I wonder if somebody should look into that. Hey, Biology Always Wins says, I am shocked that everyone is shocked that Biden has a big mental problem. Yeah, it is a little shocking until you start to parse through it and you realize they're just liars. They're not actually shocked. They're just liars. It's just a fake routine. Whoa, Joe Biden's incompetent. I had no idea. Yeah, right. You did, Jake. You knew. Hey, Knox says, Racket News has a great take on all of this. Essentially, the Dems argue end of the world if Trump is elected, yet they are proving that the presidency is a mere figurehead. Yeah, apparently you don't even, yeah, that's a great point. Right. So if Trump is solely going to destroy America, well, then how come Joe Biden is not? Is it because he's not demented or other people are actually in control? So I guess that then we would just slot in Trump in place of Biden. The presidency is a powerful position. I mean, look at the damage that has come out of that office. So, yeah, shout out to Racket. Thank you, Knox, for that one. Rocky Water, what's up? Says, happy Friday after holiday workday. Cheers. Cheers to you, Rocky. Says, I want to hear the audio from Joe's interviews from the Her Report. You and the rest of the country. Seems Congress is going to get it. What do you think the odds are of Garland deleting it before its release? Like the Epstein video files or something? I'm guessing Joe's audio is going to be off the charts incriminating and insane and show glaring deception in the transcripts already provided to Congress. Yeah, it's going to be a good question. It's going to be up to the courts. And I don't know that we're going to get it before the election. I mean, it's the DC circuit. So they'll probably protect the Biden administration. Then they'll appeal it, go up to the Court of Appeals. That won't be expedited. It won't be quick. So will we get it before the election? And if it's ordered by the Court of Appeals, for example, will the deadline be before the election? Or will they say it'll be too politicized, so we'll give it to you December 1st? I don't know. But I think you're right. The reason why they're so petrified about it coming out is because it's going to be damning. Hey, what's up? Angel's in the house. Says, you're awesome. You're awesome, Angel. Says, do you think Robert Hur has a recorded copy or his investigation of Joe Biden? Probably not. He probably turned it over. I don't think he would need a recorded copy. It's probably part of the case file, in other words, like he doesn't have a personal copy. So it's part of the file. And he was there personally, so he saw it. And he has his notes. So I don't know that he has a copy of the recording. But what's up? This is from the Rubos. The Rubos, what's up? They say Olivia Newsy claims she knew in January about Biden being unfit, but she's now publishing the story, claiming it takes months for her to write articles. We call BS on this. She's an opportunist. 100% from the Rubos. Absolutely, completely agree. And there's a lot of that happening. Okay, they all were biting their lips when it served them. Now it doesn't serve them, so now they're talking about it. It's dishonest. Just tell the truth. Just report on it. You're a reporter. Just report on it. But they covered it up. Hey, here's one. Oh, no, from Time Magazine. Is that Joe Biden? All right. Yeah, okay, that's Joe Biden duking all over himself. Bumstead, what's up? 55-year-old disabled vet in the house. Trump posted that. He's trolling Joe. 55-year-old disabled vet conditioning to stay on my feet longer. Lower back is difficult for old me. Was easy in the 90s. I feel every year, Rob. LOL. Good to see you, Bumstead. Yeah, I got lower back pain all the time too from an old wrestling injury and just I think probably genetics. But stay on it, man. Stay on it. So a little bit, day by day, inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard, as they say. Good to see you, Bumstead. What's up? This one came in from Christo. Christo B from South Africa says Trump missed one line on that debate challenge he posted. Should have ended with, I hear you're free after 4 p.m. Boom! Yeah, happy to do it before your bedtime at 8. How about that one too? Happy to do it. Happy to do it before your bedtime at 8 p.m. We can go from 5 to 7, so you're in bed by 8. Great. I hear you're free after 4. 200-watt studio. It's great. Brian Stelter and others keep saying he's a convicted felon. Can you explain why he's not? Well, yeah. So So it's here's the explanation. The way I like to explain it is it's like a math equation. Okay, 1 + 1 = 2. If you're trying to get to a 2, you need these two components. 1 + 1 = 2. In criminal law, in order to get finality into a case, right? In order for the case to be done and for the case to be closed and for it to be settled and for your record to be finalized with a conviction on it, like the case is closed and done, you need two things. You need a judgment and a sentence. So a judgment plus a sentence equals a conviction. And that's final, it's official, it goes on your record, it's finalized, like you're done. Right now where we stand is we only have a judgment, we don't have a sentence. So the case is not completed yet. So it's just a verdict, but there's no final conviction. The sentence is what caps off the judgment. So it's the finality to it. We haven't had that yet. So if you asked, like if you said, hey, if you pull a background record, if the FBI does a background check on Trump, would it show up that he is a convicted felon? The answer is probably going to be no, because it's not done. Should be no. Now, what the FBI might find for you, so this is where it gets complicated because it kind of depends on how you ask the question. But because it's nuanced. So is Trump a charged felon? Yes. Has Trump been found guilty of a felony? Yes. So like all of that is true. So if the FBI says, like say you do a search, does anybody have any felony issues on their record? Yes, it's good. Yes, it's going to show up. New York, Manhattan court, these charges, felony. It's going to say felony all over the place. And so you're looking. This is very confusing, and it's actually very hard for even attorneys and other practitioners to understand this because it's complicated for people. We saw the same thing happen with Fani Willis, and remember even the plea deals that Sidney Powell took and Jenna Ellis and those people. They took guilty plea deals, but the guilty pleas were for diversion deals. And the sentence is, if you complete diversion, then the guilty plea goes away, meaning they will not be convicted. And if you read the document, it says there will be no conviction on your record, even though they took a guilty plea. So they had a guilty judgment for the first part of the equation, but the sentence, and this is where it gets even weirder with diversions, you are actually sentenced, but the sentence is to hold the judgment in abeyance, so that it's not the 1 + 1. Now, if you fail the sentence, if you fail to do your diversion, like, stay on probation, not break the law again, then the sentence is, we bring the sentence back, we add it into the equation, 1 + 1 = a conviction. So your judgment plus your sentence then convicts you. But if you are successful on your diversion, the sentence is, we get rid of the guilty plea. So there is no conviction. So it's complicated, it gets confusing, and then people mix everything up. So they think that a guilty verdict, a guilty judgment is it of itself a conviction, but it's not. It's a great question. They're going to say convicted felon. I think it's erroneous, but they're using it, I'd say, non-legally. We had this one come in from Carrie B. This is a link from Jay Donlap from Zone Girl. Zone Girl sent this one in. Says, breaking. New investigation reveals Fani Willis is involved in a multi-state election fraud money laundering enterprise. Interesting. So I wonder if there's more to that story or where that's coming from. Donor information scandal. Fani Willis in some more Fani hot water. Hey, what's up, Rick D? Says, so Scarborough admitted we are a constitutional republic. Wasn't it just 2 weeks ago they were all calling Republicans crazy for claiming we are a republic? Yeah, something like that. They want you to think it's a democracy so that your vote, I think, matters the most because they know that they could rally enough people to create a tyranny of the majority. We got MJ Powell bringing in 10 new membos. Da Freak is here. Roadside Garage. We got Mike Shaw TV. What's up? Chad Walker. Rooster C. Rage Star. Peter Jester. Let me get that. Mayito is here. And David C. in the house, courtesy of MJ Powell, who is a membo, bringing in new membos. Hey, Jack Mack is here. What's up, Jack? Says, so, true story. Every time you say, Hey, hey, it's the Monkettes. I sing the monkey song in my head. Little jolt of joy each time. And that's exactly perfect, Jack Mack. I think I do the same thing too. I just don't sing it on the show because nobody wants to hear that. But it's great to see you, Jack Mack. And shout out to, I don't know who started that. Was that John McGarvey? Was that Donut Mind Me? Who started that? Love it. It's amazing though. It's working. The plan is working. Hey, this one came in from Bliskin. Membo for 1 month. First month's the hardest. Gets easier from there. Says, my nephew became a U.S. citizen yesterday. Trump voter in the House. Man, welcome aboard to Nephew Bliskin. Coming in and doing it right from the very beginning. This one came in. Says, from Alice Elizabeth. Says, question. Was Ben-Hur also illegally appointed? I'm here in Wisconsin to protest Biden. Woohoo. Per the New York Times, yesterday Biden said he was proud to be the first black woman serving under the black president. Yes, and we saw that today. We actually played that clip. We got Charles D. What's up, Charles D? Thanks for sending this one in, becoming a new supporter over on the YouTubes. Cowboy Rob is here, says, I do think there could be a legal argument made for a 2-term president to then be a vice president, and Dems would try it. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe. Who knows? What's up? Milo Phone Bill is here. Says, so the governors admit that Biden got a checkup. Did we get an analysis on what the results were? Gloria B's here. Bringing in one new membo. LTC Vet got a membo. Welcome aboard. Thanks, Gloria B, for bringing that one in. Here's one from Red One. Says, the ho, ho, ho was meant for Kamala. We got this one from Spuds. Rob, I bounced the idea of Joe, Good Logic's head, that you should join forces and put together a Watching the Watchers designer track shirt and a polo shirt line. We're down for the polo revolution. We're leading it. Hey, David D says, don't stop doing the here comes the judge thing. Reminds me of Better Times, the 1970s song. I don't even know what I'm doing. What am I doing there, David D? Here comes the judge? I don't know what we're even doing. Hey, NY says, expanding on Knox's point, take a particular decision the president has to make. Biden reportedly doesn't even remember one day to the next. His aides clearly are dictating policy and decisions. It seems to make sense for, say, the border policy. No politician to date has allowed the border to open, fearing the consequences, but Biden doesn't care. Almost like some college intern was pulling the lever of the government. Angel says, the reason for my question about her was, can Congress subpoena him for testimony or for any information that he has left over from the investigation? Well, they have. Yeah. So Robert Hur has testified. He's already come in front of Congress and they asked him a bunch of questions. Yeah. So they've done that. If you may have missed that, but they did do that. So he came and he talked, got asked a bunch of questions and some other things. And so, my friends, thank you so much for sending those in over on the tubes and the locals and the rumbles. Let's say hello to our friends on X. What's up, Darby Shaw? Asking whether Kamala's been to the border yet. I do not even know. And Silicon Valley Reject and some others were over there on X. It's so great to see everybody, my friends. Thanks for all the love and the donos on the day. We are going to wrap it up and go over to Watching the Watchers. .locals.com for our members only after party where we're going to hang out and debrief a little bit. We'd love to have you come on over there and join us. But if we don't see you, I want to, before we wrap it up, say thanks to our mods and our meme smiths. K Bean in the house, Just Cause, Playing Hooky, Ronnie Cole, our friend Zach Nichols, Jan Eck, Dog Digger, Economy Pilot, Donut Mind Me, Carrie B, and Zulu in the house. Our meme smith, Sleepy Dog Lee, Nathan N810, Jigam Gigam, Glocky McGlock, and Elliot, our doc master. All in the house, modding the fort down for us. But my friends, it's a beautiful Friday, a beautiful holiday weekend. And I hope that your Independence Day was outstanding and incredible. And that whatever it is you're doing today, you're enjoying it. And you're recharging your batteries, rejuvenating your soul, restoring your spirit, spending time with the friends and the family and the people that you love, because we're going to come back here on next week. We'll be back tomorrow for our membos on the Saturday stream, but we'll be back here next week to get into it again, and I'm sure it's going to be a busy one. And so in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it an incredible weekend, my friends. Get some fresh air. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.